Representative Nadler had an expert up there talking about how crime per capita is actually worse in a lot of Republican jurisdictions. What's your response to that?
Well, I don't care about any other jurisdiction, whether it's a Democrat-run city or Republican city. I care about my city. And right now, my city is seeing a lot of crime, and it is a result of multiple factors. You've got left-wing judges who are releasing people even when DAs ask for bail. But in most cases, a lot of cases, you're seeing a lot of these repeat offenders being released because of the radical bail law that took effect. And then you have rogue district attorneys like Alvin Bragg who refuse to do their job. Look, the reality, and I saw some of the cherry picking that Mark Levine and some of the others from Manhattan have done. But if you look at New York City and you go to CompStat, go to the NYPD website, look at the historical data, it says very clearly that since the bail law took effect, crime has increased. Overall, you are seeing felonies and misdemeanors increase significantly. It's roughly 20% increase. And when you look at the felony numbers compared to last year, it is about 25% increase. And so no one can dispute that crime in our city has increased. And the people see it each and every day. They read about it, whether it's your network or local newspaper. They read and they feel that crime has increased. So they're doing their constituents a disservice by trying to act like there's nothing to see here when there's just too much to see here. And if you actually do it per capita, you want to talk about per capita, let's focus on New York City. I don't know, last time I checked, I think the population in New York City was 8.5 million, right?
Yeah.
All right, divide that. Divide that by the over 126,000 felony, the top 7 felony crimes. So I'm talking about murder, rape, burglary, robbery, grand larceny, and auto theft. Okay? There's over 126,000 of those crimes in our city last year alone. You divide that by the population, what's the number? 1 out of 67? So you're saying for every 67 New Yorkers, there's a victim of a major felony crime. And that's not even including the non-7 major felony crimes. It's a lot more there too, right? And then you have the misdemeanors. So it's outrageous that you have Democrats that have pushed these policies. Remember, they were the ones cheering the city council when they voted to cut 1/6 of the NYPD budget, $1 billion. They were the ones cheering Albany when they passed this radical bail law, releasing career criminals back onto our streets. They were the ones who actually voted in Washington to take bail reform and bring it there, okay, so we cross the country for federal crimes. And yet here we are where they're trying to act like there's nothing to see here as a result of the policies that they've supported. So
but aren't these numbers per capita worse in other cities? I mean, you're giving us a very narrow picture, so it frankly doesn't sound very convincing.
What do you mean it doesn't sound convincing? You don't think it's convincing that 1 out of 67 New Yorkers is a victim of a...
Well, I think you could go to Ohio or another place and you could get it even worse.
Well, it's actually 1 out of 18. No, I didn't cherry pick. That's actually the full picture.
You've just taken one specific number.
So hold on a minute. I only told you the 7.
You could go to Bakersfield. You could go to all. I don't think you're, in light of what we've heard at the hearing, I don't think the numbers are much different from the others.
I've just told you the major 7 felonies. Now, you want to add in the other felonies? You want to add in other misdemeanors? Well, now it's 1 out of 18 New Yorkers is a victim of a crime. So I don't know, I'm in New York City. That's what I care about. And I'm thankful that this committee has decided to come here and expose what's going on. Because people are less safe in this city than they were last year. They're less safe in this city than they were 2 years ago.
What do you think this hearing does for the image of the city broadly in the country and the ability, the effort to, I guess, to attract tourists and businesses back?
Well, what are the Democrats doing to help restore public safety and make people want to be in the city? What are they doing to actually make New Yorkers feel safe in the city so they stay? What are they doing to make people comfortable to ride our subways so we can increase revenue for the MTA? What are they doing to get tourism back to the city? Don't blame me as the observer of what is going on here.
We're going to go together.
Yeah, you want to keep on defending crime? You speak to the 126,000 people who are the victim of murder, of rape, of robbery, or burglary, or grand larceny in the city. That's who you're defending right now.
Representative Malliotakis, if bail reform is to blame, that came before District Attorney Bragg and other district attorneys who were elected. And also, what do you think of Representative Gates' comments about George Soros?
I didn't hear what his comments were. I wasn't actually in the hearing room. I just arrived here now. But what I'll say is there's two issues, right? It's rogue DAs like Bragg that don't want to do their job, and then there's also the bail law. So it's all of it has contributed to New York City being less safe. In Bragg's first year, half of the felonies became convictions. Less than 1/3 of the misdemeanors led to conviction. And that's not even including the 1,100 or so felonies that he decided not to even prosecute. And plus, he downgraded a whole bunch of felonies to misdemeanors. So that's his record, okay? And then I will say the bail reform, which really, to me, is the biggest problem and needs to be addressed in Albany. I'm really hopeful that this delay in the budget leads to substantial changes. You saw the New York Times, right, over the weekend, how there's just a handful, a couple of hundred individuals who have been arrested and rearrested 6,000 times. And that is a problem. You have these repeat offenders that are just going in and out of the criminal justice system. And it's becoming, why? Why are they allowing this to happen is the question. You have hardworking people. I did hear this morning, though, Jose Alba's testimony. And that was a powerful testimony. What he's basically saying is the hardworking people in this city, the honest, hardworking person, simply trying to make a living, is the victim of crime because other people feel like they could steal from them. That is a terrible message to send. But what's worse is that these individuals are getting out there time and again, over and over, because of policies that are in place, or radical judges who just, even when a DA has the ability to set bail, you hear about how judges are continuing to let them go free. So it's a combination of multiple things. It's not just one district attorney or one particular law. It's a combination of all these things that the Democrats who have been running our city and our state have implemented over the last few years that have led to where we are today.
And this will be the last question. Congresswoman, would this hearing would have been taken place had the district attorney not indicted the former
It would have been taking place. Now, whether it would have been today, I don't know. But I've been speaking with my colleagues about this. And, Jim Jordan and I have talked about the need to pass my legislation called Prosecutors Must Prosecute Act, which highlights what the DAs are not doing and requires them to disclose information to the Department of Justice because they are receiving federal funding. And the public deserves to have this information, to know how many people that are career criminals are they releasing onto our streets, how many crimes are they refusing to prosecute. And every DA should be disclosing this information. It should be transparent. The public deserves to know what their DA is doing with tax dollars, whether they're actually keeping their cities safe or whether they're being reckless and not prosecuting crime.
What would you say to their...
So I would say that I believe this hearing would be happening regardless, whether it would be today or later on in the year, because this is an issue that I've been highlighting and pressing with my colleagues over and over again.
How would you respond to Democrats' complaints that this is just providing air cover for the former president? That you're just doing his bidding?
The Democrats are responsible for the crime that we're seeing in the city. It's their policies. It's their push. It's their support of defund the police. It was their support for this radical bail law. It is the lack of policies that they put in place to protect the public. They are responsible for this, and they don't want the people to see that. But the people know. They know. New Yorkers see why they are less safe, and it is because of the radical policies put in place at the city and the state level.
Thanks, guys. That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
Since
Thank you.
Robert F. Kennedy came and heard
go.
from Morgantown.
What about other
There's more victims than can testify. Do you think we could have more hearings like this?
Look, I think victims should do whatever they can to get their story out. I think it's really sad, and this is the stat I think you really should pay attention to, is that there are more victims under DA Bragg that have not received justice than have. That's the number you should be focusing on, that only half of his felonies result in a conviction, and less than a third of his misdemeanors end up with a conviction.
Could we have more hearings
Plus
here
all
for
the ones
the other
he kicked
victims?
out. Well, we should. I mean, there's too many victims. Sadly, there are too many victims than can be heard today. Who's testifying today is just a small percentage of the victims of New York City who are not seeing justice because of this district attorney refusing to do his job.
Should hearings like this happen in other cities too that would higher crime rates?
We should be doing it all over the country.
Good to see you, Congresswoman. What about the fact, Congresswoman, that all the House Republicans on this committee are not from New York City? You say that you care about New York City, but why aren't they doing it there as opposed to in their own city, some of which have higher crime?
Because this is where you're seeing crime soar like no other place.
That's not true, though.
It is true. And if you want to point to another Democrat-run city like Columbus, that's fine.
There are
Republican-run
Republican-run cities with higher crime rates than this.